circumstances, his present circumstances, and his ties to Manchester United. Say Pope, who else? Dubravka, any first team goalkeepers, not one would go to another team in the league and play second fiddle. Yeah. Bear with me. For one of the best goalkeepers in the league last year to come back, and like I was saying, disregard the circumstances. They matter, but not in this context. And he's having to play second fiddle to De Gea. That's going to diminish the ability that he had last year. It's going to crush his potential. And it's going to lessen his want to play at the club. And I think all three are happening. How long can he wait?
I'll disagree with the third one. Like, Dean Henderson is United through and through. So I don't think that's ever gonna change. And if he leaves,
I didn't say it'll completely go, but it'll definitely lessen. How long can you ask somebody to wait to play?
See, but
before they want to leave.
But the plan for him coming into the season was he knew that he was going to be the second keeper, and that he was going to play at all the cup competitions.
I would have gone back on loan.
Yeah, but then he doesn't like that. The game against Istanbul Başakşehir where he started and then the whole defense just collapsed. Like, he doesn't get that experience in that game. He doesn't get the experience in the Sheffield game. He doesn't get the experience in any of the cup games that he's played in. You know what I mean? So, like,
the Sheffield game experience isn't one that's going to happen ever again, so I don't know why he needs experience for it.
Yeah, but I mean, I see what you're saying.
I mean, he had one of the most clean sheets in the league with Sheffield United last year.
I mean,
and you're not going to play him because De Gea has been here longer. Whatever happened to players play, though.
It's that politics that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, where, like, if you have a player who's on $300,000 a week, you're not going to play a player who's only on $50,000 a week over. Which, I mean, I completely disagree with, but that's what you have to deal with in modern day football. So, I mean, I see what you're saying, and maybe he should have gone back out on loan, but it was his choice to stay. So clearly he was there, and he was like, "I want to fight for this position." And he's cut. Like, De Gea has made mistakes, and when Dean Henderson's come in, it's not like he's been infallible either. Because the game against the FA Cup against Liverpool, Salah's, I think, first goal, he was caught in no man's land and got chipped.
I'll do you one better then. Who was the better goalkeeper in 2019, Romero or De Gea?
Oh, yeah, Romero. But Romero knew the entire time he's been there is, I'm the second keeper. That is what Romero's job was. And he was perfectly fine with that.
That's fine that they know this. But the managers don't seem to be noticing who the more capable is. And they're going to keep their faith in De Gea. De Gea is not De Gea anymore. He's just not. I hate it. I really do. But Henderson is Henderson now.
See, yeah, but Henderson now is not infallible. Like, he makes just as many mistakes as De Gea does, which you could say, okay, it's due to game time.
Yeah, but De Gea is 30.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but saying that Ollie's not playing them because he's like
why else would he be?
Clearly, there was a dialogue that it's the same thing with people saying that Ollie's not playing Van de Beek. Ollie's the one who called Van de Beek personally and said, "I want you to come into my team." So clearly, there is a long-term plan, and yeah, okay, maybe you're hindering his development because he's not playing week in, week out, but clearly there is a plan put in place.
He's not even fitting the system, though. Van de Beek. When Van de Beek's in, we play different. Have you not noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, because he's a different player than Scott McTominay. Yeah,
he's a different player than Bruno as well, and he's being deployed in either position. Like our actual gameplay is different when he's in to a better degree, I'd say, because he's one of the only players on our team who will come for a pass and try and keep the ball moving where it's not side to side or up the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean,
but you lose.
He should be integrated. He should be integrated into the team more than he is,
and earlier than he has been. But two things is what did we buy him for? Because if we don't have any position on the field that is tailored to Van de Beek's specialties, then why did we buy him?
What's just happened right now with Paul Pogba out? Guarantee you, Van de Beek gets way more game time.
I agree.
Guarantee you.
I agree.
And that is why he was brought in. He was brought in. Like how Bruno, Bruno was brought in.
I know he's brought in for depth. I get that, but I'm saying why Van de Beek for depth though, if he does not fit a system you're trying to run, or else you'd be playing him.
I don't think that it's because I mean look, it's the same thing with Telles. Why did you bring Telles in?
I agree. Why?
So
Why did we?
well, why did you bring Cavani in?
Oh, that's we had 2 left backs. We didn't have a 9.
We had 1 left back, and Brandon Williams is a right back normally. So and he should be getting more games at right back. But Ethan Laird is going to come back and Williams is going to leave. But anyway, you brought Telles in because of he had, 25 goals and 25 assists last year in Ligue NOS, and he comes in and like it's a different league when it comes to being a wingback. Like Bruno just came in. Bruno's world class, so you can't really count him. But like certain players, you have to bring in and integrate. And yeah, okay, it's stupid for Ollie to buy Van de Beek and then only play him for the last 5 minutes of a game. Like I agree.
And play him in positions that are tailored to what he can do. You're not gonna put Bruno at 6. That's my point.
No, I'm not saying you are. But I'm saying Van de Beek was brought in for depth clearly because last year Pogba gets injured. Now we're playing fucking McTominay and Fred the entire time. Now you have the potential to have Bruno and Van de Beek in on games that we're about to dominate for the next few matches because the teams that we're playing I don't think are very good. It's bottom of the league teams. So we're going to be possessing
like Sheffield.
Time. Okay, Sheffield was just dog shit defending from the entire defense. That has nothing to do with the players. That is Matic going to cover Telles, and Telles not covering Matic then, and then fucking
Maguire tying his shoes on the halfway line.
Absolute. Maguire wasn't anywhere near the ball, man. He was nowhere near it. He was like, I mean, I see what you're saying, but clearly there's a long-term plan in place because there's no other reason why Dean Henderson wouldn't have gone out on loan, considering United also had Sergio Romero. So, and clearly there was also a plan with Van de Beek because why would Ollie call him and Van der Sar personally and say, get him to United now? You know what I mean? Like, maybe he's not doing it. Greenwood was the prime example of it, right? When Ollie first came in, everyone was saying, you need to play Greenwood on the right because United don't have a right winger, right? So then, Ollie, last year, at the beginning of the year, only played Greenwood in the cup competitions to integrate him in, right? And people were getting pissed off because he needs to play in the league because we need someone in the league. Well, he didn't do that until after lockdown. And then after lockdown, Greenwood came back and looked like a different person. He bulked up and he looked good. Yeah. So Ollie started playing him, and then he started producing. So what's weird is that this year we've had cup competitions, but it wasn't like last year it was Europa League, so you could afford to play Mason Greenwood in that. Or Champions League, United really couldn't have, and
wouldn't have hurt
against Besiktas.
Yeah, it wouldn't have hurt.
But they've all played in the Carabao Cup, and they've all played in the FA Cup so far that I can remember, except for Anfield. Or against Liverpool, and
relatively successful in each, right?
Yeah, they've done enough to get through the game and played well, but not done enough to cement themselves in the first team. Yeah, sure, and that is the point I'm making. That was the same thing with Greenwood. Greenwood was scoring great goals, but
who scored our first goal of the season?
Yeah, I mean it was Van de Beek, but.
We're not talking about an academy player. I see what you're saying with the integration. I understand.
Yeah,
he's a made player. Yeah, he's got more experience than half of our team in terms of big tournaments.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah.
So,
but again, who are you going to start in a midfield of Bruno, Pogba, and Fred McTominay or whoever? And we need a 6.
I cease to play a 4-2-3-1 at that point.
Then what do you play?
If I've got Bruno and Van de Beek, potentially able to play 2 8s.
But then where do you play Pogba?
Who? See, the guy who's played 5 games this year?
But then you say that, but then say Van de Beek goes in with Bruno, right? And you're playing 2 8s. Bruno's not an 8, first off. Bruno's basically a false 9. The way he plays. He does not come back.
False 9s don't come back like Bruno does.
He comes back not the entire time. Firmino does. But then who do you have as your sole CDM that you are you are trusting enough.
Who comes back more, Van de Beek or Pogba?
Van de Beek will.
Then I
will
play
do
Matic.
his work. Pogba the past few weeks has been coming back. Pogba has been world class past few weeks. The way he's been playing, can't say he hasn't been. So then, say you're playing Van de Beek instead of Pogba now, and United aren't doing well, and everyone then is going to say, "Why aren't you playing Pogba?"
That's because Matic is truly alone at that point because Pogba is not coming back to help Matic.
No. I'm saying if you put Van de Beek in with Bruno, and you have Matic as the sole six, and it's not going well, then everyone's going to be complaining. Well, he's got Pogba on the bench, but he's not playing him.
What position did Tadic used to play?
He played striker.
Before he went to Ajax.
Left wing, right wing, maybe?
Dude,
Southampton?
Why don't we just play Bruno at false nine and put Van de Beek behind him?
Because then, why did you bring in Cavani if you're going to do that? Exactly. Like, I see where you're coming from, but all these scenarios that we're talking about...
But this goes back to my point that I was making earlier, is that if Van de Beek doesn't fit a system we're running, why did we buy him? You say for depth. We're not using him for depth. We're not using him at all.
But, again, we haven't had to use him, because Pogba was out for what, like three matches at the beginning of the season? He was not out for months. He's going to be out for months now. But now is when you're going to see... This is why, instead of Andreas Pereira coming in, we're going to have someone like Van de Beek coming in the next couple of weeks, which is, at the beginning of the season, the sole reason for him. And then, Van de Beek, for me, was bought because everyone knew that Pogba was leaving. So that's why it was... Because the whole point of buying Bruno last January was because United were supposed to sell Pogba in the summer, but it didn't work out that Pogba could leave because no one wanted to buy him. Like, Bruno was Pogba's replacement that they bought prior to Pogba leaving. And it just so happened that it didn't work out that Pogba was leaving. Because no one could afford him.
We brought Bruno in to replace Pogba as the main creator, but Pogba was never a 10. I don't think he's played 10. Pogba's not a 10 to me, though.
But when Ollie came in the first season, in that first 6 months, when Pogba was first on every stat attacking wise, he was playing 10 majority of the time.
Yeah, but I like him better as a deep lying.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But then you're putting in Pogba as a 6, and you can't trust him as a 6. So then with Van de Beek and Bruno in,
not with my life do I trust Pogba at 6.
See, so you can't have a player like Paul Pogba on the bench, because then if you have Van de Beek in and it's not going as well, then people are going to be bitching that you're not playing Pogba. And now people are bitching that you're not playing Van de Beek. When Van de Beek really, when he's come in, he's looked okay. And granted, he's probably playing with the second team, which he has most of the time.
And that does a lot to your gameplay as well, because you have to tailor your gameplay to worse players. And I've had to do it. It sucks. I do not like it.
But then against Southampton, I thought Van de Beek looked great. He just wasn't getting the credit because he wasn't getting the assist or the goal. He was basically the assist to the assist.
Yeah, he's an orchestrator.
Yes,
the whole time.
And so I thought he looked good there, but I don't think he looked good enough to force himself into the first team, because that's before Pogba was injured, right? And then,
dude, I think Van de Beek sees more aspects of the game clearly than a lot of other players in our team. I'm saying he sees the short game, he sees the long game, he sees the entire... Van de Beek can see the next 5 minutes of gameplay before it happens. That's how experienced he plays. When you have that kind of... And you know what? Van de Beek can play up top. You can literally put Van de Beek anywhere in the front six, and he would produce. He's that kind of ball player. And he did it at Ajax, too. He played everywhere. The Ten Hagen, or who was the coach at Ajax?
Yeah, I think it's out.
He said that exact same thing. Somebody asked him, "Where do you play Van de Beek?" He goes, "Anywhere I want to." You can put him at 8. You can put him at 10. You can put him on 7, 11, or 9. He's that kind of ball player to where he sees the game to a degree that nobody else can, and he can make shit happen and does. His debut, he got subbed on in school. I'm not trying to harp on that, but that's just an obvious and clear example of, like, everybody's like, "Oh, will he fit into the Premier League?" He comes in and does what 11 players couldn't do for 85 minutes.
Yeah, but no preseason. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Like, I see what you're saying, but maybe the integration isn't working. But I don't think I think with how Ollie has done with